Engem? Akkor beszélek. 1, 2, 3. Kérhetek vissza is hangot?
Élvezd a Volt Plus tagoknak szóló exkluzív kedvezményeket!
Dragon űrhajóra, és most azt várjuk, hogy az űrhajósok átlebegjenek majd a nemzetközi űrállomásra, ahol egy kis fogadás várja őket. A 7 jelenleg fedélzeten tartózkodó űrhajós fogja köszönteni a 4 fős legénységet, akinek része Kapu Tibor, a magyar űrhajós, kutatóűrhajós, és ezt várjuk, ez meg fog történni 1-2 órán belül, nem teljesen pontosan tudjuk, itt ugye van egy előkészítési fázis, amíg meg kell várnunk, hogy az űrhajósok át tudjanak majd lebegni a nemzetközi űrállomásra, itt nyitják majd a zsilipajtót, és akkor amint eljutunk odáig, akkor persze mi folyamatosan tájékoztatunk benneteket, hogy hol tart ez a folyamat, de jó eséllyel 1-1,5-2 órán belül ez meg fog történni.
Jó, hát most egy elég hosszú ellenőrzési listán kell keresztül menniük, egyébként amit most is hallunk, vagy ugye valaki hallgatja az élőt, bár ezt mindig mondjuk, hogy nem ajánljuk, hogy a minket is és az élőt is, mármint az eredeti élőt hallgassátok egyszerre, mert van egy kis eltérés, de lényeg, hogy most ezen az ellenőrzési listán mennek végig. Egyébként majd amikor engedélyt kapnak, akkor ezt az űrruhát megint levehetik, tehát nem ebben fognak átlebegni az űrállomásra, hanem abban a közös lábasban, ami hát egy jóval kényelmesebb ruházat. Úgyhogy igen, hát azt nem tudjuk, hogy mikor lebeghetnek át, most még zajlik az előkészület, de talán mondjuk egy 3 órán belül megtörténhet az átlebegés, és akkor kíváncsi leszek majd Tibi arcára, kíváncsiak leszünk szerintem Tibi arcára, milyen lesz, amikor először tényleg úgy tudatosul benne, hogy hát én itt vagyok a nemzetközi űrállomáson. Igen. Bár nem is tudom,
úgyhogy 96 mintát 10-15 perc alatt lehet leolvastatni ezekkel a readerekkel. És akkor nézzünk két közvetlen problémát, amit tulajdonképpen még a tisztaság és a tömegazonosság szintjén túl biztosítanunk kellett. Alapvetően ezekben a rendszerekben már úgynevezett sandwich plate rendszereket használtunk, ahogy láthatják is, de akkor megtaláltam, csak a szemem nem követte. Alapvetően ezek sandwich plate rendszerek, ahol össze tudunk állítani két plétet, ami utána valamilyen
For 240 years, the prestigious Budapest University of Technology and Economics has been a leader in higher education. On our campus, where tradition and modernity go hand in hand, our mission is to educate experts in the disciplines of technology, engineering, informatics, natural and social sciences, business, and management. As part of the international network of the ELISA Consortium, our students can spend part of their studies at universities across Europe. With industry partnerships from leading companies, we bridge the gap between university and professional life, giving your career a head start. We are proud of our community and cherish the connections we make here. This inspiring environment helps us to be our best selves. You can choose from undergraduate, master, and PhD programs offered in English and receive your degree in the heart of Europe, Budapest, a city full of life and treasures for you to explore. BME, new discoveries await you.
Step 1. Access the application portal. Go to explore.bme.hu and click the Apply Now.
online to the afternoon session of the Innovation Day and Competence Fair of the Budapest University of Technology and Economics. In the morning session, we have seen many presenters stating that they were happy to be back to the university after spending here great and wonderful and enriching years, and I am no exception. I am very grateful for the invitation to the organizers, and I hope that with my experience I can share some important and valuable information to all those participants and everybody in the audience who would like to get to know more about the Horizon Europe participation. Also, I have another hat today, which is being the presenter and being the kind of moderator of the whole session, of showcasing the international talent and knowledge and treasures of the Budapest University of Technology and Economics. And after my presentation, I will be happy to call on the floor many participants who will share their knowledge about their researchers and who will showcase their talent and research with the great societal impact at the Budapest University of Technology and Economics. First, let me present you, I hope, some information that I hope will be useful for you, and I apologize in advance because this will be a presentation with a very positive tone. I know that there are a lot of problems, challenges to participating in large-scale research programs such as the Horizon Europe program, which is the one of the biggest research and innovation funding programs in the world. And it is most definitely the biggest one in Europe. And this very complex system has a unique logic. This system issues and publishes like hundreds of calls. And it is very, very, I know it is very challenging. It can be very challenging to find the gate to how you can enter this universe and how you can participate in these calls. So let me just tell me a few words about myself. Why am I standing here? I am the head of the Department for International Cooperation at the National Research Development and Innovation Office. In this position, I am also wearing many hats. Like my department coordinates the bilateral programs in which Hungary participates in. I am the coordinator of the Horizon Europe National Contact Point Network, and also we are representing Hungary in the program committees that are designing the Horizon Europe work programs in connection with the European Commission and with the other member states. So these are a lot of hats, but the head of what I'm wearing today here is being a European research funding specialist and being the coordinator of the Horizon Europe National Contact Point Network. And I am proud to say that I have been working with researchers for more than 20 years. I'm not a researcher myself. I'm another type of professional, but I have been working with researchers basically throughout my whole career. And I start to get a sense of what I should say when I am talking about these issues that can be like very challenging. What is also very important is that what I'm bringing here today is based on much experience and also international knowledge. So as you can see on the photos, it is it has always been very important for me to engage in international networks, to get to know what others do right and what others have challenges with. And this is also a very important experience for me that I use this presentation based on this knowledge as well. I gave a kind of clickbait, so to say, title to my presentation, which is 5 myths blocking your success in Horizon Europe and how to overcome them, how to bust these myths. And I actually got the idea from these posts you very frequently see on LinkedIn that actually change your life in many ways and open your eyes on how you should do things and how you did everything wrong till this moment when you are reading these posts. This is a bit funny in a way, but please note the very serious content behind it. But I think it is very important to be able to talk about this issue in a way that I hope will be interesting for you. So I am going to tackle 5 myths, and I'm going to provide advices how to bust these myths. When I was setting up this list, I chose I chose myths that depend entirely on what you think. And the overcoming these challenges, in my opinion, does not depend on external factors. So what I'm going to show you is, I hope, will be of practical use, and you can bring it to practice quite easily. The first myth is, I am not good enough to be a partner in Horizon Europe Consortium. If I had a jar with, like, I don't know, 100 foreign coins, how many times I heard this from researchers in the past years, I would be a very wealthy person now. The truth is that you have to know that you have many treasures no one else has. What do I mean by this? Usually, what I see in the conversations with researchers, I hear that this university has much greater labs. They have much better publications. They have better this, better that. But the thing is, what you have to see in Horizon Europe is that this program tries to tackle challenges on a European scale. And for these European challenges, European solutions need to be provided. And from this aspect, what you bring in, your own local knowledge, your own stakeholder network, your own knowledge of specific problems is very valuable. They are as valuable as one of the leading universities' contributions in the Horizon Europe Consortium. So you have to know what you have, what treasures you have, what skills you have, what infrastructure you have, what stakeholder networks you have. From Belgium, from the offices of KU Leuven, nobody can reach industry partners in this region as you do. And this aspect, this perspective is very, very important in these projects that try to provide whole European answers to European challenges. It is also very important to be aware of these treasures and make them visible. When I was doing consultations with researchers here some years ago, it was great to see how they explored in these discussions how much knowledge they have and what skills they can, what experience they can bring into this consortium. So be aware that this is what you have, and it's like a wealth of knowledge and experience that no one else might have in the European field. The second myth is, I need to wait for the one. It is quite enigmatic in this sense, I know. I was delivering a presentation, I think 3 weeks ago, the Hungarian Research Network, and there was a researcher who stood up and said that I would like to know whether there is a call for researching snail species. And I was, well, not necessarily. I do not really think of any call, but we have great calls for biodiversity, for animal health, or other types of topics. And unfortunately, he was not really open to them because he said that I do not want to make any professional compromise. I need a call that focuses on preserving snail species. So in that sense, I was not able to help him. But what is really important to see is that the most successful participants in Horizon Europe, and I know some of them are sitting here, and I hope can confirm my opinion, are the ones who start at the little, at something there that can be an applied knowledge, a skill, a methodology, or a piloting you can bring in to a specific consortium applying for a Horizon Europe call. So please do not wait for the call that is focusing entirely and directly on your research area. Please do not only deal with calls that are bottom-up, so that you can bring in anything you want, but try to, the 90% of Horizon Europe calls are applied research calls. Try to find the ones who are important to you, interesting to you, and when you can feel you can contribute with any kind of skill or experience you have. So it is very, very important not to wait for the one, but to be open for possibilities. There are hundreds of calls, and it's not an exaggeration, in many thematic clusters in Horizon Europe. The third myth is my personal favorite, is I can only participate in Horizon Europe calls if I'm a pro at grant writing. I have good news. You shouldn't worry about it, because only the coordinator needs to know how to write a Horizon Europe proposal. If you are a partner, these Horizon Europe consortia consist of 10, 15, 20 plus partners. You are one of them if you are not the coordinator. So it is very important that what your contribution is your knowledge. And you have to know your own stuff, basically. You have to know, you have to be able to provide a description for your task. You have to be able to provide content which relates to your research area, and you do not have to know how to set up an exploitation strategy or how to set up key impact pathways. That is the thing of the coordinator. Of course, if you're a coordinator, this is all on you, this whole burden, but when you are contributing as a participant, you do not have to know that. The fourth one, the last but one, I do research, I do not have time for grant applications. I know I am approaching a very sensitive area right now. And my advice is, which might sound a bit weird, is participation in proposal preparations can indeed be fun. And I'm very happy again that in this room there are researchers with whom I worked with, and I must say that we really had good professional fun, of course, when we were setting up the proposal. And so the proposal writing, which takes like 2, 3, 4, 5 months, can itself be a good and rewarding research experience as well, because you are collaborating with other researchers, you are working on a new concept, a new idea, So it can indeed be fun in that sense. And what I would suggest and what I would recommend is try not to think about grant applications as here is your research and then you have to go somewhere entirely else to file a grant application, but try to consider it as an organic part of how you do research and how you make your visibility in international networks. I really do hope that some of you will be able to confirm that on the researcher's part, that is also the experience. And the fifth one, I think ties very nicely into what we have heard in the morning and what FIEC does in terms of making research and the research at BMA visible, is that my academic results make me visible enough. It might have been true 10 years ago, but now, as the Horizon Europe calls are getting more and more complicated, and they call for more and more stakeholders to participate in, it would be unfortunate to only rely on your existing academic network to be able to join Horizon Europe Consortium, because there are so many other possibilities. And my advice is here that please use all the platforms that are available for you, that are set up by the European Commission. There are partnership fora, there are brokerage platforms, there is the competence map, there are many, many other possibilities where you can be visible not only as a researcher in your own traditional network, but as a participant with a value offer. For example, I remember it's also an example from my experience here, that we were the coordinators. It was a cybersecurity proposal, and we desperately needed, we had like 10 partners already, but we desperately needed a partner from the Eastern European region with a specific cybersecurity expertise. And there was no one in the academic network anywhere who would fulfill those obligations, those criteria. And what we did was we went to the Cluster 3 partnership platform, and then we tried to browse through the partnership, these value offers, these participant offers. And then we managed to find someone who later joined the consortium. So 30 minutes work equals to 1 year of grant application visibility. And the +1 myth, which is the which I saved for the end, is that I am lost and alone in this process without any help. And again, our advice is to contact my department, the NCP network, and the National Research Development and Innovation Office. We have an entire program that supports Hungarian participants in the 2025 cause. We have LinkedIn page in English, we have LinkedIn page in Hungarian, we have newsletter, we have weekly webinars, and of course you have the great expert team of FIEC here who can also and who are willing also to guide you in this process and help you. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope you didn't mind that this presentation seemed to be a bit lighthearted, but contained very serious content. And I would be very happy to answer any questions or to see you at our event and to continue working with you. So thank you very much for your attention. So now I change hats and I continue as the presenter, as the moderator of this afternoon session. And I would like to give the floor now to Pálma Szolnoki from the Zero Carbon Hub. And let me introduce her very briefly. Pálma is an economist with 20 years of experience in the energy sector. She serves as the lead expert on energy communities at the Zero Carbon Hub, where she has authored numerous research and policy papers on this subject. Over the past 3 years, she has actively supported the development of energy communities in Hungary. So Pálma, the floor is yours.
Thank you for the introduction. So as we only have 15 minutes, I just jump right to the presentation. So a few words about Zero Carbon Hub. We were funded 4 years ago here at BME, and it is an organizational unit of FIAC, actually. And our mission is to support the decarbonization process of the energy sector with interdisciplinary researches. So we have cooperations with the industry, with international players, and also we develop policy recommendations to the government. The research that I will present to you today, it was more than a 1-year research project. It was funded by the European Climate Foundation, and we were working on it in cooperation with the Smart Power Lab from BME. David Rice is also here, and he was the leading expert from Smart Power Lab in this project. He will give a presentation in this afternoon also. So the main question what we were investigating is whether energy communities could be called upon and could be used in favor of the grid. What's the problem with the grid? So we have this decarbonization target, so we want to fully decarbonize for the energy sector, the electricity sector as well. And actually we are progressing in it pretty much. So we already have 8 gigawatts of PVs in the Hungarian electricity grid. And out of this 8 gigawatts, 3 gigawatt is the small-scale, household-scale PV plants that are connected to the low-voltage section. So what's the problem? We are progressing in this decarbonization path, but we are really a long way to the full decarbonization. But by today, we have already reached a saturation of the grid. So, for example, in the low-voltage section, there the distribution system operators are starting to close this grid segment. What do we mean by closing? Actually, they say that if in this low voltage section the voltage breaches a limit, then no further PVs can be connected to this low voltage section with an injection potential. So basically, no PVs can be further added. But if we cannot add further PVs, then how can we go ahead with our decarbonization process? So actually, what we need is that with the conventional solutions, we have reached our limits. So we need new innovative ways for integrating further PVs into the system. And our question was whether including energy communities in solving the grid integration problems could be one of these innovative solutions or not. So first what we did is that we made an EU-wide survey on the energy communities and what kind of regulatory environment are they in. So energy communities were first introduced in the clean energy package of the EU. And many countries, many member states already have a supportive environment for energy communities. So there are, of course, the direct support schemes, which in Hungary we also had some earlier. But there are also supporting measures within the electricity system. And one of the main supporting measures is providing a discount on the grid tariff for the shared energy. So when a producer shares its production to a consumer within the energy community, then on this shared part of the energy, the grid fee can be reduced. And many member states already apply this kind of regulation, this kind of an incentive. And the main logic, how they apply it, is that if the smaller the grid section that is involved in this energy sharing, the larger is the discount. Actually, in Hungary, we do not have such or any kind of incentives within the electricity system for energy communities. And what does the regulation say? What's the regulatory background? Last summer came out the new energy regulatory package. It's called EMD, Electricity Market Design. And actually, it says that on the shared part of the electricity that you can consume, a cost-reflective network charge has to be applied. What do we mean by cost-reflectiveness? Well, that's a really good question, and this is what we were looking for in our research. So if you look at, again, the clean energy package, it says that for energy sharing, there should be a cost-benefit analysis be performed by the competent national regulatory authority. So actually, in all the member states, the regulatory authority should deliver such a cost-benefit analysis. Well, most of the member states have not done it. We have only found one such a cost-benefit analysis, but it was only concentrating on the peak consumption reduction potential of energy communities, not PV integration potentials. And of course, also the Hungarian regulatory authority hasn't also performed this cost-benefit analysis. So we, in this research, delivered this cost-benefit analysis. How did we start? Well, first, the Smart Power Lab has built two low-voltage network models, one representing a typical Hungarian low-voltage section, and the other one, because this was an international study and we wanted our results to be applicable to other member states as well. So that we also included an international SIGRE benchmark model, which reflects the residential feeder in the European low-voltage system. So the Smart Power Lab has built these two grid models. And then we defined together the base case. So the base case on these low-voltage models is that we increased the PVs that were on the model, on the grid, up to the level where it reached the level of saturation, which is based on what the distribution system operator, how it defines these predefined criteria where they lock actually this grid. So when it reaches this saturation level, this is the base case. So we have already a lot of PVs integrated into that grid, and no further PVs could be further added according to the current regulation. And then we have defined 16 different scenarios, most of them energy community activity scenarios, and looked at whether if we apply this energy community action to this saturated grid, could the PV, could further PVs be added to the grid, and what network effect will it have? And besides the energy community activity scenarios, we also, and Smart Power Lab also analyzed the more conventional DSO site tools for solving the PV integration problem, so the OLTC, on-load tap changers application, and the more traditional line replacement. And so these were the different scenarios, and the three main KPIs that we looked at to evaluate the different energy community activities effect was, of course, whether the PV hosting capacity could be increased. And the other two KPIs were about the underlying network. So how does the underlying network is affected with adding further PVs? And we had many results, as you could see. We had many, excuse me, I want to go back. Okay. So we had many scenarios, so I cannot tell you all the results. If you are further interested, please contact us, and you can also find it in our webpage. So I will just show you one example, the example of storages. So what happens when there is a community storage in this low voltage grid section? So there is a central storage and we apply it to this already saturated grid. Of course, what we see is that the PV hosting capacity can be increased, while, and this is very important, the load on the underlying grid can be decreased. So the pressure on the underlying grid sections can be decreased. And this is very important, this result, because actually if you look at the traditional grid DSO side measures, so the OLTC and the line replacement, these are good for increasing the PV integration capacity of the grid. However, they do not help in elevating the pressure on the underlying grid. So actually, community storage is a better solution if it's applied to the grid than the DSO side measures. And of course, we also analyzed what happens if there are, if the storage is not a central storage, but it is a decentralized storage, meaning that in each household you have the behind-the-meter storage. And the first analysis was whether these behind-the-meter storages are controlled in a way that it's operated on a community-level optimization. And what the result was that actually, if these decentralized storages are operated with a community-level optimization, we have the same beneficial results as if it was a centralized storage. So actually, what matters is not whether it is a centralized storage or a decentralized storage. What matters is how it is controlled. So whether with an individual or community-level control. Because when we switched the control of these decentralized storages to an individual behind-the-meter control optimization, then what we found is that the network effects were a lot less beneficial. So less PV hosting capacity improvement was, and also the effect, the pressure on the underlying network was reduced with a less amount. So actually the optimization process, whether it is a community level or an individual level, is what really matters. But what do we see right now? Even though using and optimizing, for example, the storages on a community level is a lot more beneficial to the grid than having these optimized on an individual level, what we see right now in the Hungarian system and in all the systems in the EU is that if you have behind-the-meter storage and you optimize it on an individual level, then you do not have to pay grid fee. But if you would optimize it and use it on a community level, then you would have to pay the grid fee twice. So first when it goes to the storage, and then when the others or you consume it. So even though community level optimization is better for the grid, you have to pay twice the grid fee, while on the other hand, in case of individual level optimization, you do not pay any grid fees. So clearly there needs to be a change in mind, a change in the regulation system in order to bring these beneficial effects of community level energy systems to the grid. So first what we really need to have is that the community level optimization should not be more costly than the individual level optimization. What does this lead to? We have to reduce the grid fee on the shared part to 0 as well. But what happens if we reduce the grid fee on the shared part to 0? Well, this revenue is lost. So this is the cost of this regulation. So we had to also see what are the benefits. We had to quantify the benefits that this community level optimization could bring to the grid. So actually what we did is that we went over each scenario and quantified what benefit it could bring to the grid if energy communities would act this way and optimize on a community level. So we calculated PV integration benefits, calculated benefits due to the reduction of the network losses, because if consumers are supplied from the neighbors, the network losses can be reduced. And also the benefits due to the reduction of peak consumption, which I have just said in the beginning in another member state where there was this, they delivered this cost-benefit analysis. Well, actually, they only calculated this benefit part so that energy communities actually can really, really help in reducing peak consumption and therefore avoiding further investments into the grid. So we made many, many calculations, and actually the result was that the benefits are high, but not as high that these benefits could all pay up to the cost that it would cost that if we reduced the grid fee on the shared part to 0, this cost would emerge. So actually, it does not justify, the benefits do not justify reducing the grid fee to 0 on the shared part. It justifies only part of it. So what can we do? Actually, community level optimization will only be incentivized if the grid fee on the shared part is 0. So we need to rethink the whole tariff system, and we need to design a new type of tariff system that, this is my last. So we need to define a new tariff system that will handle this problem. So actually, what we, and as I have showed you in the beginning, in many member states, they already make some kind of tariff reduction on the shared part, but that's not enough, because still, if you have some tariff on the shared part, then still individual level optimization would be more beneficial. So what we say is that we have to change this thinking about making a tariff reduction. We have to have a new tariff system where on the shared part you have 0 tariff, while you have a totally different fixed part. So this fixed part would be higher, but it would also consider the benefits that this energy sharing activity could bring forward. So it has to be designed in a way that it also takes into account this cost-benefit analysis. Okay, I will stop here. We have many, many other results. So if you are interested, please contact us and look at our website. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pálma, for this interesting presentation. And I would like to call Gábor Deherán to the floor from the Department of Management and Business Economics. Gábor has over 30 years of experience across diverse industries, including digital business, commerce, automotive, and IT consulting. He specializes in business development, innovation management, and entrepreneurship education. He is passionate about helping startups and scale-ups validate and grow their business models through strategic mentoring, coaching, and program development. Currently, Gábor is part of the entrepreneurship education and innovation management team at Budapest University of Technology and Economics, and he is supporting the next generation of innovators and change makers. Gábor, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Barbara. Hello, everybody. I am Gábor. I must also say I'm an entrepreneur since many, many years, so I'm really, really sorry if I would be not so sophisticated as the previous presenter of me. There is a saying when we are talking about entrepreneurship and especially business development that don't be afraid. We can always innovate. And the most important thing about innovation and business development is to understand where do you want to go. You need to understand, you need to have a map. We also say there that there is no sailor who will reach safe harbor without knowing how to navigate the sea. So what I'm trying to do, is it a touch screen? No, it's not a touch screen. So if you're lucky enough and you're looking on the internet for how to develop your business, you will certainly get to this graph. Okay? This is nothing special. It's a financing cycle, basically for innovative businesses. And you see how do you navigate to successfully reach out at your destination point. The destination point is the IPO, is getting out on the block market. But that's not so accurate. Does it really help me? Do you understand? What should I do? Especially if I'm a researcher, if I have a technology-heavy product or solution, how do I navigate through this map? There is what we call, which you are certainly familiar with, the technology readiness level. Yeah, so that's what NASA has equipped the industry with. This is the 9th scale of how technology shall be internationally phased from the basic principles till 9, which is an actually proven and operational environment solution. But business is tricky. This is for technology. It's right, it's okay. What should I do with the business? How should I transform my technology into a business? Me and my colleague, we've been working more than 15 years with early stage ideas, and we are trying to help them to get to a point where does it make sense to make a business about. And although there is a lot of people who tried to define what is the opposite of technology readiness level, we defined what is important in the business side. So we created our own scale about the business readiness level. The business readiness level is looking like that. It's especially for the early stage companies. It consists of the idea phase, which is the business readiness level 1. Then you need to have an early MVP, minimum viable product. Then you need to validate it to get through the defined MVP. Should I point with this one? Can I point? No, sorry. Back. So the defined MVP, then you prepare a prototype, which is hopefully enough to create a production. Then you prepare the production. Then you enter the market. Then you go for the next stage, which is the scale up, and then finally reach the exit or the IPO stage. So you can say that, okay, Gabor, that's fine. You have given us an 8 scale of business readiness level, but still, how do these compare with the previous map? How do these compare with the financing cycle? I do not understand. Well, you are not alone. Many people are struggling with that. It's not an easy job. But let's take a closer picture. How can we merge the technology readiness level, the business readiness level, the environment in which you need to succeed with a business? Take the basics, okay? So this is nothing special. This is the normal graph with the depth valley, with a certain round on influence which are possible to reach during the innovation development. And you see, I've already marked a space where I've written that there is a university, R&D, and a lab. Because the technology readiness levels, they consist also of basic researches, which are not necessarily transferable one-on-one to a business. Here at the university, for example, most of the research begins at TRL 1, and if you're ending the research, you're making your first, let's say, Q1 note about it, it will reach around TRL 4, TRL 5. Where does this TRL 1 to 4 or 5 fits into the graph? It fits here. It's still not reached the business readiness level 1. Because the business readiness level begins from TRL 6 around. And although this is a generic graph, and of course there might be differentiating factors depending on which industry you are in, but in general we can say that a startup will begin to work, or a spin-off, they begin to work with an idea which is between TRL 6 and TRL 9. That's approximately the same situation like we were nominating them that they are in the Death Valley. You know what is the Death Valley? The Death Valley is when you receive your firm's funding, you are beginning to spend, to find the business model, to prove your concept. And the Death Valley is the Death Valley because most of the startups fail for many different reasons. In general, the statistic says that only 1 to 5 out of 10 startups survive the Death Valley. So previously in the morning we heard about the magic 10% number. Hell, I would be really glad to have 10% of the startup survive, honestly. So this is how we see it, and that's how we apply the technology readiness level. But what about the business readiness level? Where do I place this one? Here. So you see, during the Death Valley phase, actually the idea phase begins at TRL 5. That's where a startup begins to have, oh, this research is interesting. This solution, I might have a useful business case for it. That's where they began to search on it, to work on it. Then they go to the cycle of validation. They define an early MVP. They're defining a final MVP. They are building a prototype. And around that they finish the prototype and they are preparing for the production side, that's when they are, if they are lucky, out of the Death Valley. If not, sorry, next idea. So, but okay, there are these two readiness levels. Who are helping me? Hello, I'm an entrepreneur, I need help. Who I need help for? Well, there are several institutions. Obviously, those who are on the financial side, they are not really ready to provide support for you. They are providing money. Okay, so that's one kind of a support. But the other kind of support, which is really, really important internationally, is the incubation part. And incubation can happen in that segment between TRL 4 and TRL 9, from the idea phase to the production ready phase. That's where incubation are working. You can find several incubation. Some of them are offering money prices, some of them are asking fees for their services. And there are a few of them who are not asking money, not asking equity, not asking shares. They are simply providing support. What happens if you are at a later stage or an early stage? Obviously, you don't need any more incubation. You have already your production ready. You want to go to the market. You need a different type of support. You need, well, of course, sorry, I always forget, testing. Testing, testing, testing. Product, services, validation, everything is testing. It shall happen during these first phases. And after that, if you're lucky and successful, then you have the possibility to participate into an accelerator program. Acceleration is a much, much shorter time period and time frame than an incubation. It does not entail teaching. It does not entail closed coaching, mentoring, in the sense what we understand it into the incubation. If you reach already your acceleration part, you already have a business model developed and you want already go to the market. So you need connections, you need network, you need presence in the media, you need presence in the industry. I need to build from this one. So that's why acceleration is the higher education of project development. And okay, we are here. But you can ask, okay, but how much the time do I spend on that? A research, how much take a research to make? 1 year, 2 years, 10 years? We had here at the university a project that had 20 years of research. So depending on the industry, depending on the idea you have, just to get from TRL 5 to just to get to TRL 5, you need at least 12, but in rare cases, 120 months. So I repeat, 120 months. That's a number that Barbara do not like to hear. Because when you are applying for a grant and you are telling them, okay, Barbara, let's see us in 120 months. Oh my God, there is no such grant that goes 120 months. No, there isn't. So if you are in the research field that needs that much time, then you will be really, really close friends with Barbara because each 4 years you will meet her. Okay? Okay, okay. So that's a generic number. But how much does it take for me? Let's leave the area from technology readiness level. How much does it take for me to get from the idea phase to a prototype? Well, since we've been working with startups in the last 15 years and scale-ups, our experience shows that these 4 phases can be reached between 18 and 24 months. So can you imagine that I have the idea to do a business, and just to prepare the business to be acceptable on the market, so investors and any other interested peers can connect to it, I need a team to work on it at least 18 to 24 months. It's consuming. It needs dedication. That's why you cannot go into the shelves and go into any faculty of the university and say, I want you to produce me 5 startups next month. That's not how it works. It takes time. Okay, okay. So we have the prototype ready, but production. You are technical engineers. Production is tricky, no? So just from the idea, just from the prototype, our estimation shows that at least 12 months will be spent on make the production ready. Not from the technical point of view, not only from the technical point of view, but from financial point of view, to signing the contract, to building the businesses with whom you will produce the product. And it doesn't matter if it's a physical product or it's a digital product, it's the same. So 12 months. So we are already at almost 3 years, and we are still in the production ready phase. So, okay. I need to go to the market. I'm enough. I'm tired. I want to go to the market. I want money. I want somebody to pay. Yeah, I have bad news. The time for the go-to-market is defined per market. So at least you need 6 to 12 months to establish a presence, to introduce your product to the market, to build the sales funnel, to build the complete process of your solution to be done. And yeah, people are coming from the informatics department. Okay, but we are just translating it. No. Translating any solution, any product is not the go-to-market strategy. There are many, many other aspects that you need to take into account. So that's 6 to 12 months. So we at the Department of Management, when I'm working now, we are having on several levels courses. We are having a support system for you to learn what to do in the idea phase, what to do in the early minimum viable product phase, what to do in the defined minimum viable product phase, how to make the prototype ready, and how to prepare for production, and how to build the businesses. But don't forget, we are not miracle maker. We are not working instead of you. We are not working for you. We are helping you to do it. So, doing a business is realizing your dream. Doing a business is understanding that I am more capable if I'm doing it together with others, because there is no way that I can do everything by myself. So my closing words for here, that of course if you're interested you will have an email to reach me at the end, but not now. Focus on building a team around you. You maybe recognize that I don't have any fancy three-letter abbreviations. I'm not coming from the academic world. I'm coming from the market. I'm coming from the business side. But I do like abbreviations, and there is an abbreviation which I would really like you to remember. The team is an abbreviation. You know what it stands for? Together, everybody achieves more. Thank you very much, and good luck.
Thank you very much, Gábor. So many powerful messages to process. Thank you so much. I would like to invite Zoltán Micskei to the floor on trustworthy AI-based systems. Zoltán is an associate professor at the Department of Artificial Intelligence and Systems Engineering. He's the leader of the Critical Systems Research Group, and the research group develops new methods and tools to help engineers create more reliable software systems. Zoltán?
Thank you for the introduction. Okay. So I also welcome everyone. My pitch will be about artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is reshaping every aspect of our life. And as the member of the Critical Systems Research Group, we are more interested in that AI-based systems are introduced even in critical systems like in transportation, automotive and railway systems, in industrial control systems, CPS and IoT systems, and even in every aspects of the healthcare systems. And contrary to web application or mobile application or social media, if there is an error in these kind of systems, they have a catastrophic consequence either on the financial or in the safety side. So therefore, the trustworthiness of AI components and the AI methods we are integrating in these systems is crucial. And why are we talking about trustworthiness in an event about networking and European cause? Because if we look into all the documents the European Union Commission has produced, like the ethic guidelines for trustworthy AI, the European AI strategy, or the EU AI Act, there is one central concept. The European approach for artificial intelligence is trustworthy AI. You keep, this concept keeps coming back in every document, in most of the calls. Trustworthiness is an important attribute, but if we look into more into this concept, you can see that it's a multi-dimensional aspect that covers a lot of disciplines and a lot of properties. So starting, for example, for fairness or bias-free, trustworthy AI application is lawful, ethical, human-centric, reliable, safe, robust, secure, privacy-aware, and you can keep on going and listing all the different aspects that are important if you really want to build an AI system which is trustworthy. Luckily, the competence of BME covers numerous dimensions of AI safety, starting from the natural sciences faculty to the social science economic part, and also the other engineering faculties are contributing to these aspects. Today I'm showcasing some of the collaborating research groups at the Faculty of Electrical Engineering and Informatics, where we are working more on the technical aspects of AI, the trustworthy AI-based system like safety, robustness, reliability, and so on and so on. Let's start with our research group. The Critical System Research Group was founded by Professor András Patacsa more than 30 years ago, and I'm leading this research group. And we are interested in developing more reliable system. For the introducing AI in critical systems and in systems engineering, we are really interested in how existing software and system engineering approaches, methods co-evolve with AI techniques. And we try to bring in our expertise on modeling, formal verification into AI-based systems. I'm just highlighting two recent research topics from our research group. The first one is neurosymbolic reasoning, where we combine traditional statistical, probabilistic, unreliable AI metrics with formal techniques, logic reasoning. And in this way, you can increase the trust in the output of AI-based methods. We are developing our own tools, for example, a graph solver specifically for these kind of challenges. It's called Refiner. It's an open source tool you can look up. I'm included all the website of the research groups I'm talking about. You can look into the research group website for publication tools, projects, and all the materials. We can use these kind of tools and techniques, for example, to create and generate diverse models and tests for AI-based systems that will enhance their assessment procedures. The other topic I'm highlighting is trying to using how we can use qualitative modeling in AI-based systems. Again, if you want to reason or assess or verify an AI-based system is really hard because of the large input space and the large models we are using. And with qualitative reasoning, we can decrease it and we can have an explainable AI representation for those models, which are helpful in impact analysis and risk assessment. Moving to the next research group, which is CRISIS, the Cryptography and Systems Safety Laboratory led by Professor Levente Butyan. They are working on cutting-edge security topics. And again, just a few highlights how they are connecting to this trustworthy AI part. There are many ongoing research projects on securing the privacy of AI-based systems. For example, how can we detect that training data is poisoned or someone tries to extract the training data, or more recently, how can we reason about the security of LLM-based systems? AI is not just used as something we evaluate, but AI techniques can enhance existing cybersecurity methods, for example, malware detection or security testing. And with the introduction of agent-based systems, a lot of new research challenges opens. For example, contribution scoring, or how can we decide if an agent-based system is working in a fair way. Of course, fairness is defined very domain-specifically. The next research group is the High-Speed Network Lab and the Cloud Application Research Group, who are focusing on providing reliable compute platforms for AI models. They have a large and huge experience in AI and cloud native applications, and they are using the next generation 5G or 6G networks, cloud and edge to provide a computing framework for AI-based applications, which are reliable, can be trusted, and are robust. For example, to provide efficient near data processing or privacy-aware data processing clusters for AI-based systems. Introducing AI and these next generation networks opens a lot of use cases previously unbelievable, like for example, the new use cases of extended reality application, or bringing new advanced driver assistance systems with the help of 6G services. The research group is very active on developing demonstrations for extended reality application and 6G services. just I invite you to look into their website. There are a lot of cool demos, YouTube videos, what they're achieving, like how you can control a vehicle from a different continent and use other high-speed and high-reliability options of 6G networks. Last but not least, the AI research group from our department works on the foundational topics and methods for artificial intelligence. And I want to just highlight two very important recent topics, which is human-centered AI. So how can we move AI closer to the humans, and how can we collaborate as AI researchers with other disciplines like legal or ethical requirements? How can we create models which are explainable to subject matters, and how can, for example, medical professionals or lawyers understand what the AI-based systems is recommending or what decision it suggests. Another very active research area is federated learning, where we have multiple partners who are not necessarily trusting each other. They want to train together an AI model, but they do not want to share their data. For example, drug discovery, or in any sensitive, where you have any sensitive IP protected information. And federated multi-source learning can help to share these data without actually sharing your private IP protected data. And the research group, and also Kai's research group, is very active on the privacy aspects and the scalable aspects of federated learning. For example, using it in different healthcare applications. Altogether, all four research groups, we are very active in European research projects. We have a significant experience starting from FP4, actually. I just started to count how many projects we are actively involved in recent years, and at least 10 EU projects where we are participating. I want to highlight that we are active also in proposal writing, have decades of experience in leading work packages, so we are very much open to new collaborations. We are interested in numerous horizon calls, from health to digitalization, space, civil society, and even transportation or autonomous vehicles. But some of our projects are from different goals like EU Digital or Eureka. So if you have a good idea about from these goals, we are very much open for discussion. To summarize, I think trustworthy AI is a core concept in the next framework, in the current and the next framework programs. So we are very much like to contribute and collaborate on these topics. All four research groups have a significant experience which can be all integrated to cover multiple dimensions of trustworthy AI, and we have an experience in preparing and executing European Horizon projects. If you are interested, if there is a short question, I'm really eager to answer it, or you can contact me or any leader of the research group. Thank you for your attention, and let's hope that we can collaborate on some of these topics.
Thank you very much, Zoltán. If you allow me a personal remark, I think what you are doing in the department and as the leader of the research group shows a great example of how important it is to be visible on as many platforms as possible with a clear, very important and relevant value offer of what you are doing. And regardless of having many project participations already, you still take all the possibilities, every possibility to introduce the research groups in the department and your research group. And I think this is very, very important. And also you are active in the European professional associations, as I know. So it is very important, and I'm very impressed and congratulate you on this. The next speaker is Csaba Csiszár on research on innovative passenger transport services. I believe this is also research that was shaping through various European collaborations and proposal writing as well. Professor Csiszár is a professor at the Department of Transport Technology and Economics, where several competencies and age groups are represented to solve research and engineering tasks in the field of transportation systems. Their research area covers topics in transport informatics and passenger transportation systems, with special focus on system integration, shared mobility, human behavior, home delivery, electromobility, and mobility based on autonomous vehicles. Csaba, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, I would like to say thank you for the opportunity to be here and introduce the team and introduce our activity. Let's begin with the team introduction. We began this team building many years ago, approximately 10 years ago, and currently it consists of several young, talented guys, especially PhD students, but beside them, we try to invite BSc and MSc students because they can continue the research in the future. So we may say that the young generation is the engine of the team because they have new competencies, and in an ideal group there are many age groups which can cooperate together. As Barbara told, our group has several fields. The most relevant one is the transportation system and services, and the second one is the electromobility. Let's see the research field and objectives. Here you see that transportation is a complex system. It means that we try to use the vehicle. Vehicle is the most relevant component, but we try to insert it into a wider urban and regional context. In passenger transportation, the key element is the passenger. Their behavior and their decisions determine the demand. So demand description is the first issue, and the passenger should change their behavior, their minds. So it is one issue. The second one is micromobility. We deal with several mobility services. It is a new and novel field. Parking management, urban space, another issue. Shared mobility, how to use efficiently the vehicle capacity and the vehicle time frame. This is another topic. Electric mobility or electromobility, smart grid, the background system. We extended the research field towards the electricity network. And finally, the newest topic is the autonomous vehicle-based mobility systems, because it changes the entire system component and the operation as well. And currently we are opening towards the last mile delivery, because the demand includes not only the passenger transportation, but the delivery services as well. So the objectives, as I told you, the demand side should be described on one hand, and on the other side, we try to establish new service types. These service types together can serve the demand, and this matching activity is the key of the transportation, because demands are changing time by time. It's not a constant issue, and we can provide customized services in order to serve all the demand. Methods. We use different kind of questionnaires, interviews, in order to reveal the passenger expectations and to describe the demand. And behind the social aspects, we try to open the environmental aspects, legal aspects, and we try to put together all the elements: the infrastructure, the vehicle, the background system, the parking system, and we try to put it in a wider urban context. Let's see the previous projects. As I mentioned, that our team is under continuous building. Fortunately, we had several previous projects related to the electromobility. The first issue was the determination of locations of charging facilities. both in national-wide context and in urban context. It was a significant task many, many years ago. And then we determined not only the location, but the needed capacity as well. Because the charging demand can be described, can be derived from the traffic demands. And as the traffic demand is fluctuating, the charging demand is also changing time by time. And this demand description was a key issue. And then to find the efficient way for the localization and for the capacity. Another topic was the Zöld Kerék, the green wheel project, which helps you to decide about your electric car. So if you know more or less what is your expectation, for which purpose would you like to use it, this application helps you to find the appropriate vehicle. A challenge was here to collect data about the current vehicle, because the car manufacturers and selling companies provide different data, and these data are changing time by time. So it was a challenge to collect the data. Another topic was the analysis of charging facilities, not only in Hungary, but in the neighboring countries as well. It was a market analysis, and to find the gaps for the further extension. Probably you know very well that the future is the high-capacity charging facility, and it requires a lot of investment. So that's why the demand description is key in this sense. Another competence or contest was the startup contest several years ago, where Bali, my colleague, was the winner with this BOLI concept. It is an optimization tool which helps you to find the appropriate buses on a given public transportation network. Here I would like to emphasize that the public transportation has the advantage that the routes, the runs are well known. So accordingly we can determine the charging demand in advance, and that's why it is a bit easier to find an optimal solution. This method was applied for the Budapest context. The task was here to determine where and what kind of developments could be help the electrification of the current public transportation services. We investigated several routes, lines, locations, and we determined the ideal locations and capacities. Some words about the ongoing projects. Fortunately, we have 3 running projects. The first one is the Plateau, which is a waterway-related topic. And our experience was that it was a bit easier to join a consortium in this field, which is not so popular than the other topics. And we were invited by other partners, and we could bring the Hungarian participants, Port of Csepel, MÁV, the railway operator, and RSOE, which is an info communication company. What is the objective of this topic or this project? The climate and weather resilience improvement. Because the waterway transportation, unfortunately, is not a reliable transportation, and if we can forecast the future climate and weather effects, we can prepare the system, the operation for these undesired effects. And then we investigated, of course, how does the system behave in the case of hazards? What kind of hazards can be identified, and what is the reaction of the system? How does it decline, and then what is the recovery, the speed of the recovery, and which measures and actions can be introduced in order to achieve the normal operation. Another running project is the Sumodo, which belongs to the 15-minute city wider topic. The aim of this 15-minute city to provide basic services in 15 minutes walking or biking distance. There are 2 ways to achieve this objective. The first one, either to install new services, or to enhance the availability, provide new pedestrian facilities, biking facilities, improve the availability. Of course, we focus on this second issue. We investigated the behavior of the travelers, how, why do they prefer certain modes, and of course the main issue, how to decrease the share of public cars. The third national project is an OTCA project, where the shared mobility services are investigated, micro-mobility services, why different user groups prefer this service, and how could we facilitate the wider acceptance of these services. In this project, we are working with the ELTE colleagues who provide another attitude, another aspect of research. So that's why it is a bit interesting for the engineers to understand their research methods. And some words about the future projects and proposal, because unfortunately these projects will be finished in the coming years, and we would like to finance the colleagues and to invite new colleagues as well. As I mentioned, the basic issue, the demand description, and on the other hand, on the bottom of the slide, the different kind of services elaboration, especially focusing on the new electric technology, new autonomous vehicle technology, and info communication technology, and how to match the demand and the potential services to each other, and how to combine these services to each other, because we can formulate travel chains where several segments can be identified and combined. So this is the key approach, and we prepared several proposals with active assistance and help of Warbala. And we achieved quite good results, quite good points. So in the future, we would like to improve these proposals. The first one was a community-based zero-emission package delivery system, new or innovative solution, the Smartbox, and the community courier, the last mile service. So travelers can bring the parcel with themselves, which is a new solution. And another was 1 year before, the Prima, where we try to introduce a tool which combines the free capacities on the road network with the demand, and to provide reliable travel time in urban context. This Prima was unfortunately also not successful, but we learned a lot from this project proposal writing, and we contacted several cities, several institutes and universities as well. And the new proposals where we are looking for partners, the first one is the Bike to School program, because recently the kindergarten and school parkings are very crowded. So that's why we would like to propose different kind of solution. One of them is the so-called Bicibus, where the children are guided by persons to the school along a route, and where and how to pick up them, and how to guide them in a safe way to the school. This is one issue. And as we see that driving urban transitions calls are relatively easy to find a grant, so that's why we address these call in the future. And in this sense, we are looking for partners in university, IT company field as well. Bus network electrification, which is also a running issue. We are going to submit a proposal in this topic as well. Fortunately, we have good colleagues in Poland, Gdynia, Gdansk, where the university and the local service provider could be the partner. We are quite good at case study cities. We have partners in Netherlands and in Hungary. Also, we cooperate with many cities. So probably it will be also a proposal in the future. And as a university, we not only provide projects, but we try to make publications. So in the last some years, we provided high quality journal and conference papers. The most relevant ones are summarized here. And some words about the conclusion. What is needed to achieve a good research and innovation project? Topics, cause are needed in promising fields. A good team is needed, competence is needed, the ability to learn year by year. And in this sense, BME has a great advantage, because if we do not have a competence, we can invite other departments or other faculties, and finally, international partners. If all of these components are ready, hopefully a project can be successful. Thank you for your attention, and if you have any question, we are ready for the answers.
Thank you, Csaba, for this very interesting presentation. And just let me link for a moment what you mentioned to one of the myths and advices I mentioned in my presentation, is that when I said that participating in a Horizon Europe proposal preparation can be real fun in a professional way, I meant that what you referred to also, that during these proposal writing, even when you are a partner, not a coordinator, you have many chances to refine your research ideas, areas, to get new impressions and new ideas from other university partners, company partners, and other partners. So it can be a really rewarding experience, and congratulate you on this very wide plethora of proposal participations. I would like to give the floor now to Professor Éva Lublói from the Department of Building Materials and Civil Engineering. Éva is Dr. Majorosné Lublói is a professor at the Department of Construction Materials and Technologies and the director of the Knowledge Center for Water Science and Disaster Prevention, very relevant topic. She started her studies at the Faculty of Civil Engineering at the Budapest University of Technology and Economics in 1996 and graduated in Germany in 2001. He holds 2 professional engineering degrees, concrete technology and fire protection design. Her main research interests are the behavior of building materials under fire and non-destructive diagnostic methods. Éva, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, I think fire protection is today very important topic. We have more and more fires. The causes are that we have changing in the fire load. The changing in the fire load is important if we see they come from electrical cars, from accumulators, and we have some problems with the new materials, for example, plastics. We should know that plastics and electrical cars have other fire behavior like other materials. We have higher fire development, and they give more energy for fire. What's happened if we have an electrical car in the garage? That is the situation. You see, here we have a reinforced steel, reinforced concrete slab, and the steel is collapsed because the electrical car is burned. I think it is very dangerous, and we should think about this, that the fire load is changed, materials are changed, and we should think more about the fire protection. Yeah, the question, it is better if you use steel? The answer is not, because steel structure collapsed from very low temperature. They collapsed by 500 degrees, and here you see the partial protection for a parking garage in an airport. Other pictures are the same. I think it is good to see the deformation of steel structure because we have very high fire loads, and it is important that the number of the electrical cars is always higher, and we should thinking about the protection, how we could protect it, the buildings. Yeah, what's happened with the concrete structures in fire? First, it is important we have changing of the concrete technology in the years. Requirement from the engineers are higher concrete strength. From this we have higher density, and we have smaller cross sections. And we have new concrete types. One interesting concrete type is the geopolymer foam concrete. Geopolymer concrete not use cement, and they has very high fire protection, but at the moment we have problems with the production. From this, we can have in concrete structure problems in fire. What happened with concrete structures? Yeah, I think it is not dangerous, spalling of the corners. It's not good, but it is not really dangerous because we have not damaging the load-bearing structures. But in this case, if you have hollow core slabs, then the undergird can collapse, and we can have some problems. These hollow core slabs, these hollow elements are really dangerous in fire because we have other heat effect inside these holes. Yeah, you can see that is a reinforced build structure. We have relative large deflections and relative big amount of spalling, but they don't collapse. That this picture was made for 15 years about. In this time, we haven't not good concrete. We have not high strength concrete. We have not high density concrete, and in this time, it was not dangerous if we use concrete. What's happened with reinforced concrete in fire? First of all, we have hydrated cement, and these decompose in function of temperature. We have aggregate. The bond of aggregate to cement stone decompose too. We have fibers. The fibers could help in case of fire. I explain it later. And we have bond between reinforcement to concrete, and they decompose too. Why could have fibers? We have other problems in fire, the spalling of the concrete cover. The spalling of concrete cover comes from escape from water in fire. Water boil in fire until escape in form from gas. But if we have no pores, we have higher density, higher concrete strength, then we have spalling of concrete cover. If you use plastic fibers, then you can have, after the melting of plastic, some extra holes, and water can escape from concrete. I will not explain this picture because it is more chemie, but it is important to know that hardened cement paste is the most important part from concrete, and we have two main components. The first is the calcium hydroxide, and they decompose after 500 degrees, okay? And we have calcium silicate hydrates, and they decompose after 700 degrees. Calcium hydroxide is responsibility for the bond characteristic, from the bond of aggregate, from the bond of reinforcement, and calcium silicate hydrates give the strength of the concrete. They are important things because by choosing of good cement type or good supplementary material, we can reduce the amount of calcium hydroxide, and we can make better concrete. Yeah, I think it is always important working with the industry. We have made a lot of lab experiments. We say that concrete composition is perfect, but it is the question, it is good for the production of structural element. Yeah, we have made testing of structural elements too. I will present there two interesting cases. The first was for 30 years, 20 years about. It was a very interesting element because we have a small girder, 6 centimeter is nothing, and relative high, above 1 meter. And these elements are really dangerous in case of fire because the heating of the girder is rapid. Yeah, it is possible to calculate. The answer is not. Because if you use the 500 isotherm method, then we see that we have no girder. In this case, we have nothing to transfer the shear forces. It is true. Not, we should make fire tests. Fire tests are really big element test. The first was the situation after 12 minutes. I think it is good to see that the spalling of the concrete cover happened and the girder collapsed. Okay, the question, how we make good concrete composition, how we made good girders. The requirement was from the industry 60 minutes, and we made 71 minutes fire resistance, only changing the concrete composition. Nothing is changed in the structure, in the reinforcement, on the geometry, only the concrete composition. Yeah, the conclusion. We have a relationship between the microstructure and structural element. For that is very important the research in the university, that we know what's happened in small samples, because in big samples, fire experiments are very, very heavy to make. What have we made? First, the first experiment was made with supplementary material limestone without polypropylene fibers. Second experiment was made with limestone and with 1 kilo polypropylene fiber per cubic meter. I think in this case it is to see that we have over 50 minutes fire resistance. It is good to 12 minutes, but requirement was 60 minutes. What could you make? We changed the supplementary material. We changed the supplementary material to slag, and slag is not sensitive to fire, and we can have more than 60-minute fire resistance. Yeah, other exemplar. It was for about 10 years or 5 years. That is a wall panel elements. Wall panels are interesting because they have high fire requirement. They have isolations and load-bearing capacity, and they should they should protect it from flame effect too. We have tested this also in fire. Yeah, the first was only 90 minutes. The requirement was higher from this. Changing the concrete technology, we used polypropylene fibers on slag too. We have made 120 minutes, and we have flame effect by the slabs. And it was problem that if the flame come out, then collapse the structure. And we work on the connection, and after working the connection, we couldn't have more than 3 hours fire resistance. I think it is in the industry very important that we have walls that could protected the industry parts. Yeah, what happened with the elements? First, in the first first mix, we have spalling of concrete core. I think it is to see that the reinforcement deformed. In the second, after changing the concrete composition, we have smaller amount of the spalling of the concrete core. Yeah. What happens if we have steel structures? In case of steel structures, the direction is that we use always smaller cross sections. Yeah, if we use slender structures, smaller cross sections, then we have problems. We have other statical problem, for example, buckling, and we should make the measurements other. And thin cross section could heat it relatively rapid, and we have problems. Yeah, how we can make testing of the structures that is really so. We put in a furnace, we loaded, and we measured the deflection and the temperature. Yeah, if we see, then this cross section could rapid overheating, and they are very sensitive to fire. We have made more than 20 fire tests, and we have developed from this a calculation software special for trapezoid sheets. And we have calculated all problems, the plate deformation, the deflection speed, and we could calculate the connection too. And the most sensitive points, according to calculations, are the connections. And that was brand new for the industry, that we have more, we should have more attention for the connections. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Eva. This presentation clearly showed how important and so what, let me rephrase it, so how many research areas are here at BME that have very clear societal impact and real life implications. And there is an actual cluster in Horizon Europe that deals with civil security for society. Thank you for this very interesting presentation. I would like to give the floor now to Victoria Feigl from the Department of Applied Biotechnology and Food Science. Dr. Feigl is an associate professor at this department, and she is the member of the research group of environmental microbiology and biotechnology. Her main research interests include soil improvement, environmental microbiology and toxicology, waste reuse, and biohydrometallurgy. She also serves as a committee member of the BME for Sustainability Group, and is the head of communication at the department, and also another successful Horizon Europe participant. Victoria, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Yeah, again, a completely different topic that is coming, but I guess this shows the diversity here in BME. So I would like to talk about some of the research topics that are done in our research group. And this is basically 3 topics that I brought you today. One is about using biochars for the improvement of degraded soils. The second is about cyclodextrin to alter microbiological communication. And the last is bioleaching of critical raw materials from bauxite residue. So let's talk about biochars that can be used for the improvement of degraded soils. I wonder if you know, but if you look at this map, what is marked with green are the soils that are more or less stable in the world, but all the others which are marked with a certain color, these are somehow degraded. So we have some serious problems with our soil health, like it can be the lack of nutrition, a decay in organic matter, or some bad mechanical stability, which after all affects our food production. So it's really something that we should deal with. And in the last 15, 20 years, our research group has been working with using various waste materials for the improvement of degraded soils. And one of our focus was on biochar. Yeah, sorry. So one of our focus was on biochars. Biochars are actually chars that are produced by pyrolysis from organic waste and waste-derived products. So that's how we get some waste-derived products that can be an alternative solution for improving our soils. And we had an international project with it was funded by the Norway grant, so it was a cooperation with Norway. And this one, we used various biochars to test so if they can be applied for the improvement of soils. Because the case is that we just cannot mix any kind of char into any kind of soils, but we have to pair them somehow. So it's, we have to make some decisions based on the soil properties and the biochar properties to find the best options. So we created a multi-criteria decision support system for ranking and selecting the best chars from various soil degradation problems. And since that, we went a bit further how to activate these biochars and how to produce better products, some kind of composite products. And we are currently running an EU-funded project, which was funded by the EGP Soil EU project. So this is a sub-project to this one. And we work in cooperation with Norway and Switzerland. And we not only use the biochars, but we try to make some composite products, which are using region-specific organic waste, and we co-compost it with the biochar. So, like for example, in Norway, which is not relevant. Oh, I don't know how. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Which is not that relevant to us, but they have a lot of aquaculture waste streams. So they have to do something with this large amount of waste. It comes from fisheries. Or in Switzerland, they have a huge problem with dealing with sewage sludge or organic fraction of municipal solid waste. And this waste could be mixed with the biochar in a co-compost, and that can be used for specific soil problems. So we will try to make demonstrations at specific regions, which might be, soils might be, and the climate is different in the north or in the Swiss mountains or here in Central Europe. So we try to prove that all these methodologies can work in these various regions around Europe. And my second topic today are cyclodextrins. I will explain all these because I know it's not the field of expertise of everyone. So to handle microbial communication to tackle some environmental and health problems. So first, about microbial communication. I don't know if you have heard of this or not, but microbes can actually talk to each other. So they use signal molecules. So some emit some molecules, and the others can detect it and sense it and respond to it with other signal molecules. And this basically allows microbes to act as a multicellular organism, so they can organize themselves, like if they colonize a host or form a biofilm or produce virulence factors, or they decide to move somewhere or produce some exopolysaccharides, they can share this with each other, how to do it, and this is the way they basically adapt to changing environments. So there are a lot of processes that are regulated by this quorum sensing, and some of them actually might be problematic related to environmental issues or health issues, and also in agricultural and biotechnological processes, such as human infections or biofueling or even the spoilage of our food. So could we do something about this? The answer might be yes, so that we can somehow disrupt this communication between our microbes. And our research focuses on cyclodextrins. These are, you can see it on the top, yeah. So these are oligosaccharides, the special molecules that are hydrophilic inside, in the outside, so they dissolve in water, but they have a cavity where they can trap certain molecules. And for example, these signal molecules that are produced by the microbes can be trapped in these molecules. And this is called, again, like cyclodextrin-mediated quorum quenching. It's complicated, but the thing is that we can use these cyclodextrins to inhibit these processes regulated by the microbes. On the bottom figure, you can see one of our models. Actually, we use the bioluminescent bacteria. You know that there are some bacteria that can emit light. They usually live in the deep oceans in symbiosis with various organisms. And this light emission can be easily detected in our labs. So we can see if these molecules really work, because if this works, they stop the light emission, and this is something we can easily detect. But of course, it was just a model, and since then we moved to some more important things like biofilm formations. We worked with fungal and bacterial systems, and it was found that cyclodextrins can strongly inhibit biofilm formation. So this can be a solution to use superiority antibiofilm treatments. And this has some major importance in human health issues to fight against infections and proliferation of certain specific microorganisms. And just to mark that this research is done in cooperation with the Cyclolab company in Hungary. So the last topic is the bioleaching of critical raw materials from bauxite residue. I guess also bauxite residue might be familiar to you. It's also called red mud. It's the waste of aluminum production, which is aluminum oxide, and it's estimated that there is more than 4 billion tons deposited worldwide. It's highly alkaline, saline, might contain some toxic elements, and has a very small particle size, which makes this waste material really problematic regarding storage. As you also might remember that in 2010 it caused a major catastrophe in Hungary when there was this red mud spill in Ajka. So it would be nice not to store this material, but to use it for something. And there were some attempts using it as a soil component or also in the construction industry. But we are focusing now is to use them as a source of critical raw materials. Critical raw materials are elements that have high economic importance. So for example, in our LCD screens, we have some, or also the wind mine turbines, or in our electric cars, the accumulators. But in the EU, we have a strong dependence on their import, mainly from China, but also other parts of the world. So it would be good to have sources within Europe for these critical raw materials. And what has been developed in the recent research is the biohydrometallurgy. So some hydrometallurgical and pyrometallurgical processes has been developed. It's more under piloting and not at the large scale. But what we offer, or what we try to work on, is using microorganisms to extract these elements from the bauxite residue, as they also, some organisms like the fungi, some fungi that you can see on the bottom, they also both produce acids and some complexing agents, and so that these important elements can be released from the solid matrix, and we can use them further. So these biotechnologies may offer an alternative to the above-mentioned processes, like it can work at lower temperatures, not like pyrohydrometallurgy, which uses several hundred degrees Celsius, or we don't need harsh chemicals, like in hydrometallurgy, where they use very strong acids, hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acids to get these elements. And we also have the biomass as a byproduct. And we've been working on a project that's been funded by the National Research, Development and Innovation Office, and we try to use some fungi to extract various elements from the bauxite residue, and we were successful in getting aluminium, scandium, gallium, titanium, vanadium out of the bauxite residue, even at very low temperatures. So it works at room temperature. We don't have to use elevated temperatures. And we also work in cooperation, again, to use some waste materials as a carbon source, like from sugar companies, sugar producing companies, or also the beer production has some waste that can be used. And we are also working with actually the biggest alumina and aluminum producing company with Greece, who are also interested in such biotechnological processes. And as Borbála mentioned, I also wanted to showcase this, that we've been participating in 2 Age 2020 projects. And as I remember you said, it's also good to start with something small. And actually, in this project, we didn't have such a huge roles, but we did ecotoxicology testing. So ecotoxicity testing is using these small laboratory plant animal microbes to predict the potential toxic effect of chemicals or waste for the environment. So in the first project, we followed up the development of scandium production process, where we examined the potential toxicity of chemicals used in the processes and also the waste in the end. And in the second one, we followed up some bioremediation processes where we tried to prove the success of this remediation methodologies also by toxicological tests. And we don't have that huge horizon projects right now, but we still work in international cooperation with some partners, like we also participate in other projects from our faculty, a coordination and support action, the Beaming project, which deals with bioeconomy excellence, or we also participate in a Marie Sklodowska-Curie action staff exchange project, the Clean Water, where the focus is on plasma technologies for water treatment. And we also have a bilateral project with Croatia, which is, again, another topic, investigating the effect of microplastics in soils for soil-dwelling organisms. So that's all, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Victoria, for presenting your research challenges and work in such an engaging way that we almost felt that we are with you in the lab and tracking what happens with these substances. I would like to give the floor now to Dávid Rais. Dávid has been working at the Department of Electrical Power Engineering since the year 2000, with 5 years of experience at the E.ON Energy Research Center at RWTH Aachen University in Germany, as well as Graz University of Technology in Austria. Dávid has established new research areas at the university, like electricity market modeling, application of power electronics in power systems, and power hardware in the loop modeling in the power system domain. As the head of the Smart Power Lab, he is leading R&D projects with industry partners, as well as visionary research projects, both national and international. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Okay, welcome everybody, and thanks for having me here, and thank you for following these discussions or presentations online and offline. I'm talking about energy, and I'd like to start off with a quite bold statement. So, whatever is happening in the energy industry is, I would say, far beyond the imagination to the non-professional community. So everything that's going on behind the socket, it's really a dramatical change in the energy and the power sector. And what we usually see from that is more and more solar rooftops, and also our bills are getting more and more complicated over the years, and our contracts with the suppliers. But apart from that, we probably not really understand what's really going on in that sector. And these changes that I'm talking about, these are mainly, well, partly technology-driven. So many new opportunities are arising from technology, be it semiconductor technology or communication technology or measurement and data and sensors technology. So, and on the other side, it's also demand-driven. So, and also driven by the wish to make the power system more sustainable than it was so far. And if we, I mean, you observed the second presentation today. A good indicator of these challenges that we have ahead is that the regulation, so the legislation and all the defining the new roles in that sector, and also defining the new structures, it's lagging behind. So technology and demand and all this development is so fast that the regulation is really they are really struggling to catch up with all this development. And what my team wants to achieve really is to boost local industry mainly, and make it more of a leader and not a follower. Because you see, in the energy industry, the main players are large international companies, and they are supplying technology mainly, and they are supplying all the solutions that are composing this very basic infrastructure that we have. And apart from that, there is an emerging a new field is opening for small companies as well, and we can see that mainly in Germany, but also in other countries around Europe that are very innovative and that are able to deliver new ideas into products and following this chain that we have heard here today before. So that's what we would really like to help boosting in the Hungarian sector. And I believe that there are two main ingredients to this, at least in the power industry. And one of them is, of course, a good team of researchers, and I believe we could contribute to that. With a couple of years of experience and with, I would really say, all the main players in the Hungarian power industry as partners in recent research and development and innovation projects, and also some international collaborations, but also a very important ingredient to this goal that we have set ahead of us is a very good laboratory, which allows us to, or the partners that who are working with us, to achieve very short time to market periods and to turn ideas into products in a very fast and accelerated way. And in the power industry, that requires a good laboratory. And I will just show you this laboratory in the next slide. The main point here is that this is an infrastructure that has been built in the last couple of years, and this is really rarely found in Europe. I mean, there are infrastructures, there are similar laboratory infrastructures around Europe, but not many of them. And I've just had a PhD student traveling across Europe and looking at various university labs, and he was the one telling me that this infrastructure, he hasn't seen similar in Europe so far. I know there are a couple of others, but he hasn't seen any similar so far. And also some of my colleagues have been visiting a German laboratory of development for a large Chinese solar inverter manufacturer. This lab, the development lab, is in Germany, and colleagues have visited that lab, and they said, yeah, they are working with the same equipment that we are working with. So it's quite up-to-date technology that we have here. And the main point here, the main idea behind this lab is that it's hardware in the loop capable. So at the heart of this, do I have? Okay. At the heart of this this laboratory is this real-time simulator, right in the middle, real-time simulator, which is capable to simulate the power system, and you can actually do that in real time. Real time means whatever happens in, I don't know, 50 microseconds in reality, the same happens in the simulation, which makes it possible to attach physical devices to this simulation so that these physical devices really feel themselves or have the impression that they are really in that physical environment that they will be deployed to later. And this is a huge breakthrough in power system simulations. So you can test new types of controllers, new types of measurement and other devices, and also power devices like like solar inverters. And all these devices will have the impression they are really sitting in that field that they are going to be deployed to. And this makes the whole the development process very fast, and you're able to do some rapid prototyping of new ideas and then new concepts. So here are some of the devices that I've been talking to. Interesting point of this in this slide is that this whole laboratory environment not only comprises the power system, but also the info communication system behind it. So the SCADA system, the measurement and the data acquisition system, which is an integral part of the power system, and we are able to do simulations and investigations in both of these layers. Okay, so what are we using this lab for? And then I would like to just give you some of details, not very deep details on the project that we are doing recently. These are mainly focused around integration of renewables, of course, but also to develop new concepts and new devices also that help this integration. First project I would like to talk about is batteries. Batteries are becoming a key component in the power system in the recent 1 or 2 years now, at least in Hungary. And more and more batteries are deployed, and battery operators have the problem that they don't really know if they cycle their battery and ramp up and ramp down their batteries and charge or discharge the batteries at various rates in order to participate at different markets. They don't really know how that will affect the lifetime of the batteries. So they cannot really build a proper business model for that. And they lack this information from the manufacturers. So we are trying to fill this gap by producing a digital twin for various battery technologies. And the digital twin means that we are measuring real-time data, what is available from the battery, and we are trying to model the inner life of the battery and look into the state variables in the battery, and then try to estimate this relationship that I was referring to. And this is what we are doing with different technologies and with different partners now, right at the moment. And we have achieved very nice results validating these models against, well, published literature data also, but we have also our own measurements. So I think this is one of the candidates of ours that we would like to progress into some product in the couple of coming years. Another interesting research, well, it has not so nice relevance to recent blackout in Spain and Portugal. Blackout means that power system is down, and then it needs to restart it again. And this restart, this black start processes usually do not involve the renewable energy sources because they are not considered reliable enough to be included in such processes. But there are times during the day, or there are, well, actually many hours where in some cases this inclusion might actually really speed up this restoration And therefore, we, with University of Ljubljana and also KU Leuven, we investigated how this would be possible, how we could include, for example, large solar farms into these black start processes. And it turns out it's a very interesting topic and not very straightforward, because it can come to very, here you can see in this figure, very unstable conditions. So the key point of this restoration process is how to avoid these instabilities and which switching strategy to choose, which order of attaching new generation sites to the existing grid and growing the grid again. This is the key question, and this is actually solvable with some Markov decision processes, which are some intelligent technology to find good decisions based on partially stochastic decision parameters. And another project that we are doing for MVM Group, at the moment we have a large cooperation ending actually October this year, and one of the products of this research is a new device that we developed at a prototype level in the lab. And this new device is basically an intermediate device between grid and the load. Normally the load is directly connected to the grid, but we are inserting a new device in between them. And the purpose of this is to separate what's happening in the grid, to separate it from the load, and to be able to provide clean and nice and standard compliant voltage for the load, regardless what's happening in the grid, because there is a lot happening in the grid that we don't want to penetrate to the load. And also, this comes with, this device comes also with some very nice benefits, because it requires less transistors, less elements. And in comparison, if we do all these functionalities, integrating solar, integrating electric vehicle chargers, integrating static storage, instead of all these devices separately, we put it into one single device, and then we achieve some reduction in components as well. So we could make it cheaper, I believe. And also I believe that time is going, and also the world is progressing into the direction that more and more power electronic devices will be built into the grid. And one of the uses, another uses of such a device, such a low voltage back-to-back converter that we have designed here, is well, connecting two low voltage feeders, which is not at all possible today, and it's not done today. But with this device, we could connect these two feeders, starting from the same transformer, starting from different transformers, but we can connect it together, so we can make a meshed grid instead of radial feeders, and that would have the benefit of a better voltage regulation. So in the end, it would be one of the devices that Palma told us about, one of the devices that would be able to integrate more solar devices, more solar panels, for example, to the grid. Okay, and that's my favorite, actually. That's the most far-fetched research area that we are involved in right now. It's like when someone told you, about Tesla maybe 20 years ago. That's something that we're trying to explore in this project, and we are basically redefining the basic concept of power system operation, and moving away from the single frequency, 50 hertz frequency voltage that is one of the basic concepts in the power community now, and we are moving towards a multi-frequency power transfer concept, which means we are changing the voltage shape, we are adding more frequencies to the voltage shape, and thereby we are able to, if applied in reality, we would be able to increase the PV hosting capacity by 100%. That means doubling this is a huge number. So if you tell that to distribution system operators, this number alone, they will be really interested, and they are. But this again requires power electronic components, and we have designed these components, and we have shown in the laboratory in a prototype level that this is possible actually, and it's I believe a really interesting topic to follow up, and and use in the future. Okay, once again, there are many other projects that we are dealing with right now. Our goal is to, well, our vision is to make the power system suitable for increasing 100% supply based on renewable energy sources. Part of that vision is that the system is moving from traditional usual components towards more power electronic components, and we believe that Hungarian companies have a word in that and could become innovative enough to play in the field of large international companies here. So thank you for your attention.
I would like to give the floor to our last speaker, Dózsa Kovács. Dr. Kovács research at the Department of Polymer Engineering at the BME, and he is the Hungarian Academy of Science BME Lendület lightweight polymer composite researcher. His research passion lies in injection molding and related science and properties, stores,
I remember the words of Jakob Beckman. He said that the team is the most important, so let's go for that, because core is the team. And I'm very proud that my youngest member of the team is here, Baja, to work on the team. I just decided to, well, I will not talk about science. I will talk about the story. Why we started this and what's the story behind. So let's go for it. I think it's very important to know that plastics are important. Nobody is talking about the things then because it's a pollution, right? But if you think on that, those are the saviors. So if we are working on the right path and if we are leading to the right goals, the plastics can save us, and I think it helps us to improve. And it's very important to use them in the right way, the right goal. And that's one of our goals, because we like to have lightweight polymer composites to sustain metals and make parts better than what was built before. Of course, as you heard, my passion is injection molding. I'm not a scientist, I'm a technician. I'm a technician of a soul of a 3-year-old son. My son is always asking why, and I think I'm doing the same. I'm always asking why. And if you can answer that, people say that you are a researcher. I don't feel that. I'm just curious about science. I'm just curious about the technology. And those are the very conventional injection molding. But besides that, we have injection compression molding. You will see why it's important. And of course, we have many others like OV molding and the so-called PRTM process, which I will introduce to you in a minute. At the end, you will see how we can transform it into a very fine product, which is just through injection molding. So let's go for this ride. I will skip the scientific goal. I think you get it. We would like to see behind the scenes, and we would like to see how the material behaves. And moreover, we would like to make the material behave in the mold. And we would like to force them to do what we want from them. And that's one of our biggest goals. So let's start the story. Maybe you have seen this car on the street. It's a very simple BMW i3. And the very important thing is that the outer part, the body part, is fully plastic. It's called the HPRTM process, which is the high pressure resin transfer molding. And it's very important because it's lightweight and it's nice. But the problem is we cannot recycle that. If it's damaged, that's the end of the story. We cannot prepare it lightly with plastic, prepare the plastics. So let's go forward and don't waste the time with the not recyclable plastics. So let's go for the PRTM, which is the, the cousin of this process. The thermoplastic resin transfer molding, where we are using green opening polymerization to achieve our goals. And we are adding some activators and catalysts into the story. We melt them down and we pour them into the mold. And just in the conventional injection molding, the biggest thing is that we are doing some chemical formulation in here as well. So the polymerization takes place in the mold while we are injecting the material into the mold. And that's very important because the flow properties is, I would say, 10 times or a million times better than the conventional injection molding can offer for us. So it can include almost everything. So that's why they use it for the BMW, and we can do it for other purposes. So let's go for it. Recently we built some molds. Of course, it's not a very widespread technology. There are only a few in Europe. And we decided to do some basic researches. I would say I would like to understand the behind story of this process, and then we would like to go for real parts. Technically, it's quite difficult because we have to have a totally different mold structure than in conventional injection molding, as we have to have kind of mixing heads where the two components are mixed, and then the chemical process starts in the mold. So let's go for the details. I will not bore you with the scientific details, so I will just skip these parts. But of course, we try to understand how we can interlocate the fibers, the different type of carbon fibers, or anything you name it. And then after, when we started to understand that, we just realized that, oh God, we cannot do the simulation like we can do in the regular injection molding. So our team decided to go for that, and we formulated a new model to capturize the behavior of this process during the drilling stage. So in Autodesk Moldflow, we changed the conventional material behavior with some tricks, and right now we are able to simulate the RTM process. And it's very important because we are able to think ahead of the production, and then we can optimize the parts. But the problem is that with this kind of methodology, we can prepare big flat parts, like the cover of the car, the BMW, the body cover, the body part. But how can we reinforce that part? It's another technology. We are using the so-called overmodeling process when we are generating rips on the surface of these parts. And of course, we are started with the question, how we can do that? And grid is good enough for this process. So we designed a mold which can help us to understand what's behind the story. And of course, on the left side you can see that mold. And we need a base plate. That base plate can be conventional injection molded one, or can be PRTM based plate. And then we are overmolded the ribs. And we realized that, oh, it's a very good method, so we can reinforce the parts. And that's a good story. But again, how can we calculate that? Some calculation we're missing. So one of our PhD students decided to go for that part, and she did her PhD in that field. Technically, she is still doing it. But at the end of the day, we were able to calculate the strength between the base plate and the ribs, which is very important because we had a chance to calculate the strength prior to the production. Again, it's very important because we don't need to waste our forces and energy on the trial. We can do the calculations. And that's what we established with these kind of models. And then we went forward. Of course, that's a very good story. We need a lot of simulation for that. As you can see, the previous mold was fully simulated with the different fields of temperatures and everything remaining required for these kind of calculations. But as you can see on the right side, the results were quite constant. So we were able to calculate how strong will be formed between two components for many different materials and different technological parameters. So that's a good story. So what's next? Because it's a lightweight polymer composite group, we haven't stopped here. We started to go forward to the 3D printing. Of course, everybody is using certain 3D printing now, but we decided to have continuous fibers in it, and that's a kind of new way because we would like to use that as a skeleton. So we would like to print out those skeletons which require in the body to reinforce certain areas of the part. As you can see in these figures, we have used this methodology for even injection molding for PRTM as well. So we printed out the internal skeleton part and then we placed that skeleton into the molds and we overshooted it with the injection molding or the PRTM process. And those two materials were almost identical, so technically we could recycle them after the whole life cycle of these parts. And that's also a very good part. And a very small side story, that red machine on the right corner is designed by our colleagues and built it on our own because the market-based machines were not good enough for this. So technically we have developed this small machine, and that's also an achievement in the group. And these were the, I would say, scientific ones, but what are the technical ones? We decided to show that really everything can be injection molded. So let's go for something which was, I would say, unbelievably impossible so far. So let's target hydrogen cells. So technically, these hydrogen cells made of, I would say, made of stone, but no, made of steel and many other heavy stuffs, and technically very far away from injection molding. So we decided to change each and every part of these elements into injection molding for the RTM-based technologies. So let's go for the details. We have designed the parts, like the people are plates. On the right-hand corner, you can see 3D printed versions to optimize the flow fields, for example. And we did a lot of simulations, flow simulations, like CFD simulations. And then after we generated these kind of people are plates, which are the soul of the cells. So technically we have the bipolar plate, which is the most important one, but also we have the monopolar plates, both for anode and cathode sides. And then after the end plates, seems to be a lot, and we needed a lot of more, but we decided to make some tricks and generated one single mold with exchangeable inserts, and then we were able to produce a mold to produce the bipolar plates and the similar ones. But of course, the next problem was the material itself. We had to have a material which is conductive, and plastics are well known that they are insulators. So that was a horrible story. So we had to achieve a very good thermal conductivity and a very good electrical conductivity. And that was not easy. And I'm not telling that we are fully there yet, but we are very close, and I think it's good enough to prepare the first cells in a very close future. So practically we have used a lot of ingredients, we produced monocomposites, and then we went to hybrids. And right now we are producing hybrid materials, and that will help us to achieve our goals. So what's next? Production. Of course, as I mentioned, we developed simulation methods to calculate and characterize the processes, the product itself. So technically, we did the simulations, and as you can see, those were matching to the real life, because we did the mold, we produced the mold, and afterwards we did the calculation, the correlation between those two. And here are the biggest difference between injection molding and injection compressor molding. I told you that there is a slight difference between them, and you can see on the right bottom. Technically, conventional injection molding is a fixed mold where you have to have the flow, continuous flow, until you reach the full stage. In compression molding, it's totally different. You have movable inserts, and you are injecting a little bit more material, and you are not compensating afterwards to the holding stage, but you are compressing the mold by the force from the machine, and that's how you are compensating the volumetrical change of the material. And everything will be different. The part will be different. Conductivity of the part will be different, so that's how we achieve the goals in this story. And then after we tried the RTM process. That's a nightmare. As I told you, there are only few of these machines on Earth. I will not tell the full story, but technically when we had the first machine, we just realized that we bought the prototype from the company, and they didn't have anything left afterwards. So we designed the board, and it's ready. We already run for the first trials, and then also the part for the hydrogen cells at the end of the day. And you can see the full story here. On the left side, you can see the molds where we are producing the bipolar plates, and all of those which are required for the production. And then after in the middle, in the bottom middle, you can see that we are over-molding it with the ceilings. So we are not placing an external ceiling on the surface, but we are using the overmolding technique, what we have designed with our PhD students, and we are able to calculate the strength between the two components, which is very important because hydrogen is very small and penetrates with almost everything, so it's of fundamental importance to know how we achieve these. And on the top, you can see the stack itself. And that's also very nice because you need multiple parts. You need a lot of them. We are stacking them together, and between them there will be the so-called melt, which is sold regarding the chemical reaction for the hydrogen cells. And then after the final step, which is very, I would say, tricky, we are using injection molding again. So we are not using big metal plates, and we are not using big balls to keep these parts together, but we are using injection molding, so we are over-molding it. We are placing these stacks into the mold, and we are just overshooting with the final component, and the shrinkage will help us keep these parts together. And on the right side is black, is the final part, as you can see. And of course we need a lot of electrics, and colleagues are here from the other department, and they are developing the electronic parts. But technically, it will be the final stage in this December, and then we can run these fuel cells. will still possible. And of course, we had a lot of projects, all connected. We are a part of the National Renewable Energy Laboratory for this cell storage. And we did lots of things. I would just like to highlight the last one, which is recycling. Very important because at the end of the day, we realized that we had a fully injection molded stack, which is made of plastics. And it can be wound together, and then you can recycle without disassembling and without doing any tricks. And that's also very important for sustainability. And that's the end of my speech. And I would like to just remind you that we are responsible for the future, and we are responsible for the right material usage. So we have to use the material right. So let's take the planet and use plastic in the right way. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for sharing this very interesting story. And I must say that your department has a very interesting, very big Indian science. Also mentioned with lots of bits from the same story and some other stories, and this is very important partnership with them. So thank you very much. I would like to thank you for your contribution here in the room and online. I would like to wish everyone good luck and resilience and commitment in your future partnership building activities, and please feel free to reach out to great key activities or to my team, the National Research and Innovation Office, if you need any help